Okay, I'd like to open up the Public Works and Protection meeting on Wednesday, November 6th. Roll call.
Trustee Paul,
Present.
Trustee Krieger,
Here.
Trustee Sears,
Here.
Trustee Burnett,
Here.
Trustee Euclid.
Here.
Okay, pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, item number 5, action on the minutes from October 1, 2024. Any corrections or additions?
Chairperson Paul, if we could maybe take action on number 4, which
The
would be on the
agenda
agenda.
first.
The action on the, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
action on the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, on to the one I skipped, or went to. Action on the minutes on October 1. Any corrections or additions there?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Items on number 6, item A, consider, discuss, act on Class B beer / Class B liquor license exception request for Pope's Pizza LLC, doing business as Pope's Pizza. Joel? Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Chairperson Paul. Pope's Pizza LLC, doing business as Pope's Pizza, is requesting approval of a full Class B beer, Class B liquor license. The liquor license would meet the exception threshold for Wisconsin state statutes as it relates to our reserve license quota. The license would be for the Suite A, or the entire first floor of 789 Armed Forces Drive. So if you're familiar with this area on Armed Forces, it's the new building that's going up immediately adjacent to the hotel, in between that and the Blue Lot and the Packers practice facility. So again, this license will cover the entire first floor of 789 Armed Forces, along with a full patio on the north, west, and south side of the building, including the south garden. The license to be extended to the entire parking lot driveway of Lambeau Field, or the lot driveway on Lambeau Field and Rush Center Expo event Lambeau Field and Rush Center Expo events, or during any road closures as authorized by the Chief of Public Safety. They are requesting an extension on the statement of intent. If you're familiar with that building, it's currently under construction with a tentative completion date of sometime later or in the first quarter of 2025, March or April. And so that'll exceed that 90-day threshold. So they're asking for an extension on the statement of intent. Our recommendation from staff is just make it 180 days, and that should cover that duration of construction. If in the event it's not completed in that time, they can certainly request a further extension. Again, if granted, the license will not be issued until occupancy is given for the project. And then again, all paperwork and corresponding fees have been paid and filed accordingly. There is a representative from the development here in attendance. So if you have any specific questions about their operations, they'd be able to answer those at this time.
Okay, so if we approve when we approve the license, we're just going to hold it till the 180 days or whatever's needed.
Yeah, a motion to approve the license if that's agreeable to the committee with the extension on the statement of intent for 180 days.
Okay. Everybody understand it?
Can you give me just a little education on the exception part of that?
So the exception to the quota is they have over 300 permanent seats within their establishment. Under Wisconsin state statute, if an establishment has more than 300 permanent seats, it does not count against the village's quota for the number of reserve licenses that may be issued. So that benefits the village. It doesn't really do anything different for the applicant. They still have to meet all of the same requirements for a full Class B intoxicating liquor license. It just means that that establishment doesn't count towards our quota.
Perfect. Thank you for the education.
Any other questions? If not, I'll move to obtain a motion.
I'll move to approve the liquor license for Pop's Pizza.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, going on to item B, consider act, discuss on Class B / Class B liquor license exception, request for Cowboy Max Country Club LLC doing business as Cowboy Max Country Club. Joel again.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Paul. This is similar to the previous item, Cowboy Max Country Club LLC doing business as Cowboy Max. Country Club is requesting approval of a Class B beer, Class B liquor license for Suite B of 789 Armed Forces Drive. This will be the entire second floor of the building, and much like the previous item, this establishment has over 300 permanent seats and would be an exception to our quota for the reserve licenses as well. They are requesting an extension on the statement of intent, much like the previous item. So that would be an extension from the 90 days in order to allow them completion of their project. If the license is granted, it will not be issued until occupancy is given. And as with the previous one, all paperwork and corresponding fees have been filed and paid accordingly. The representative is here in attendance if you have any questions to that individual.
Same thing, second floor of the same building.
I'll move to approve the Class B beer, Class B liquor license exception request for Cowboy Max at 789 Armed Forces Drive, Suite B, with the 180-day addition.
I'll second it.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to item C, consider act, discuss on Class B liquor license exemptions for request for Fire and Fur Event Hall LLC, doing business as Fire and Fur Event Hall. Joel again.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson Paul. This is similar to the previous two items with some subtle differences. So what is being requested here is Fire and Fur Hall, Event Hall LLC, doing business as Fire and Fur Event Hall, is looking to acquire a Class B beer, Class B liquor license for Suite C of 789 Armed Forces Drive. This will again be for the entire third floor of the building. This establishment is slightly different than the previous two in that it is an event hall and not a permanent bar restaurant facility. So it will be like your typical reception hall, if you will. It will have 300 permanent seats inside the establishment, which would also grant it the exception status against the village's reserve quota. Again, they are requesting an extension on the statement of intent. So again, 180 days. If the license is granted, like the previous two, it would not be given until occupancy is achieved for that suite. And again, all paperwork, corresponding fees have been filed accordingly, and a representative is in attendance if the board should have any questions.
Everybody understand? Same building? Okay, any questions? If not, entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the liquor license for Fur and Fire and with the 180-day extension.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions? If not, motion approved. Item D, consider, discuss, act on ordinance number 11-1-24, amending enforcement of special event parking. Patrick, it looks like you grabbed the mic this time.
So the Department of Public Works and the Department of Public Safety have come to staff with some concerns regarding parking enforcement during specifically Packer games and some special events surrounding Lambeau Field. As of right now, the fine for illegal parking in that area when signs are posted, no parking during the day of Packer games, is $50, and it increases if the fee goes unpaid within a certain amount of days. Some of the specific concerns have been where individuals have parked in violation of the sign and they are actually told there's no parking the day of the Packer game or the special event, and the person will simply just ask how much it is, and the staff or public safety officer will just tell them it's $50, and they'll just deliberately park there anyways. The purpose of that is obviously to control congested traffic during these special events, so you don't have just a lot of parked cars along the streets while people are trying to leave the stadium and leave the event itself. For example, the $50 fine for violating of that parking area is somewhat similar to, I guess, parking in lots and yards in that area, where individuals would just simply say, well, I'm closer to the Lambeau Field event or the Packer game, and they'll just simply pay the fine. So there's not really much of a deterrent or enforcement based on the current fee that's imposed right now. And there's just a lot more people violating that deliberately, and they'll just pay the fine rather than move their car. There are some tow areas where DPW staff members will tell them you're in a tow zone, and then they'll move the vehicle if they're in a tow zone. But a lot of these are not in a tow zone, they just simply get ticketed. So with that, the Public Safety Department has also voiced these concerns, just noticing there's more congested traffic in these areas. And they're in support of this as well, just based on their how much they've seen the increased amount of people violating these parking signs during the Packer game specifically. Right now, the request is to bump this, essentially just doubling this from $50 to $100 per violation. Public Safety had a discussion with them, and they actually are requesting it be increased from $100 to $150, and then go by $25 increments for unpaid fines there. Add a little bit more teeth to it. So the committee can recommend, as is right now, it can recommend higher or lower. They have the discretion to do that, to recommend to the board. As it stands, the ordinance is just proposed as $50 to $100 for that initial violation. However, if the committee feels that it's appropriate to bump it to $125, we can certainly make changes and then bring that forward to the village board. But again, the main purpose of this is just to have more of an enforcement mechanism when individuals are parking there. They know that the $50 fee is probably just as much, or just a little bit lower than you would parking across the street in somebody's yard or lot when that lot is already full. Rather than moving the car further down where it might be cheaper parking, they'd simply just rather pay the fine and just walk to the game and leave. So that's kind of the main purpose behind it. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I like the idea of them going to 150. I thought the same thing. One question I would ask, and I don't know how many signs we're talking, but could we get stickers on those signs to actually state that? That way we don't have to have somebody running around telling people, because now people are probably in the habit of, I'm gonna park there because I know it's only $50. If we put it on those parking signs, it says it's $150, they're probably gonna see that and go, oh, wait a minute, I'm not gonna park here now.
Yeah, typically when you see that parking violation, there are signs that have maybe a range of parking, payment of X dollars to.
But I'm guessing our signs probably don't have that, and I'm just wondering, are we going to do something to try to, to help that?
Make it even more of a deterrence if someone is aware of that.
Correct.
Certainly could. I would speak with the Department of Public Works.
I know.
Try to do something, but
I know on special events, Patrick, there's just no parking for event. That's all it says. There is no price on them.
correct. Yeah, the
And
signs currently right
I'd
now
like
do
to
not
see
have
that
a-
added, because I
I-
think that's gonna be a deterrent. I just
because-
think so. And I know they can just get a sticker on it. What I don't know is, what are we talking about as a cost? Are we talking 300 signs? Are we talking 20 signs? Are we, what are we talking? I have no idea of that number.
For
So ask Public Works and see. But I would make the motion to up this to $150. And for ordinance number 011-1-24. With the $25 increment for the late fee.
Sure. And we will make changes on the ordinance itself and bring it forward to village board with those changes then, as recommended.
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a first and a second to raise it to $150. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. In the meantime, we got time, Joel, Patrick, to get with the Public Works Department and Safety Department in order to figure this out.
Yeah, I think not part of this conversation, but we're having some internal conversation that eventually will make its way to this committee and village board about trying to either further define the ordinance to understand what parking restrictions are necessary for things like the NFL draft. Right now, the signs just say Packer games, so that would not constitute the draft. In addition to that, we've had other Lambeau Field type activities. If you think about the Premier Soccer League game that took place at Lambeau Field a couple years back, that generated the same type of crowd that a Packer game day did.
So you might need stickers anyhow.
Stickers or new signs,
Or new
depending on how the draft is.
Whatever
So
the cheap-
before we order stickers and then we have to invest in some change out of signage, we'll look at it all together comprehensively and decide what is in the best interest.
Makes sense.
Well, are they looking at temporary signs or permanent signs? Because I know what you're saying about event versus Packer games. Those are permanent signs.
Right. So right now how it is, I'm sorry. Right now how it is, it just says Packer games, and per the ordinance, it says Packer games as well. So the signs were drafted according to how the ordinance is, signs were created based on how the ordinance is drafted. No parking day of Packer game, which is enforceable, but when you're parking there, technically, a future event, the NFL draft, or maybe the Badger Notre Dame game coming to Lambeau Field, is it technically a Packer game? No, it's not. So
Or Taylor Swift.
or concerts, exactly. Right. The more important ones.
That's why I use the word event, because you don't know what it is.
Right, and Joe brought up the point of the soccer game last year, or Packers family nights, technically a scrimmage, not a game. So if we really wanted to be technical in defining what is a Packer game, it could be questionable to actually enforce that during special events. So staff is going to be looking at kind of redefining what that is and maybe recreating the sign itself.
Especially since we're increasing the fine so much, we could get challenged more than what we would have in the past.
Certainly could.
Okay. All right, moving on to item E. Consider, discuss, act on proposed ordinance on regulation of temporary video boards. Aaron, are you on that one? Okay.
Yes, sir, I am. So with the draft coming up, we have been receiving requests for temporary video boards in locations around the village. Historically, we have allowed them for Packer games in the sports entertainment district, just kind of as something that happens. What we'd like to do is define the actual location for those temporary video boards to the sports entertainment zoning district, the public use zoning district, and the Titletown PUD overlay district as the locations where we think those make the most sense and where they're currently used already. So as indicated on the draft ordinance, it provides basically a framework within which we tell businesses currently, kind of, saying, all right, if you're gonna have a temporary video board for a game, just make sure it's not angled toward a street and it's, the glare isn't impacting non-property businesses or residences. What this does is it formalizes it, puts it in an ordinance so that if there's ever an issue, we can point to the ordinance and state as staff, hey, you need to come into compliance with these criteria. Currently, there's really no enforcement ability for us on it. So this just formalizes it and puts it in place.
No, I think this is all good. I think we need to do this, especially with the draft coming in that. So I would make the motion to approve the ordinance to regulate temporary videos boards.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. I believe the draft will bring up a lot of issues before it happens regarding some ordinances that we have and trying to protect our community here.
Agreed.
Okay, item F, consider, discuss, act on non-renewable of a Class B license of Syps, of Scrybbles LLC.
Yep, I'll take that one.
Who's running around here? You got it, Patrick?
I got them. So
Okay.
the next two are pretty similar. Every year, our village clerk's office sends notification to any kind of licensee, Class B, Class C licenses, or Class B combination licenses, your typical liquor license. The Class A licenses as well. So think of like your gas stations, your retail outlet store, or retail liquor stores. And it's the onus is on the licensee to make sure everything is paid for, the annual license fee is paid for, taxes are paid, any kind of other fees are paid. The next two, and I'll kind of talk about them kind of globally here while we go through each individual one. The next two, we know that these two licensees are currently not in the buildings themselves. For whatever reasons, the businesses have just stopped. Our clerk's office has reached out to them several times. I've actually reached out to them personally by email and phone call, haven't had a response back. So the licensees, the license renewal goes out in the summer, and we're going to give them some pretty decent amount of leeway to get back everything to our clerk's office. So when they are non-renewed, there's a formal process that we have to do as a village to, I guess, non-renew their license, which is send it a recommendation for non-renewal based on their failure to pay the licensing fee, not having the paperwork processed through the clerk's office, et cetera. This is months past their renewal deadline. So after the recommendation would be to non-renew, then non-renew officially at the village board. And then at that point, under our code, we send another notification to the licensee. And then the licensee would have 10 days to dispute that. So if there is a dispute after the village board meeting in November, that person could come back and, I guess, so to speak, request the license to be implemented again or renewed. But at this point, knowing that these businesses literally are not there anymore, I don't foresee that happening. So based on their failure to comply with our alcohol licensing requirements, we would recommend a non-renewal of this Class B license for Syps and Scrybbles.
I'll make the motion to recommend non-renewal of Class B beer license for Syps and Scrybbles LLC.
I'll second it.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. If there's no other questions, G, consider act on non-renewable of a Class B, Class C liquor license for Tajin Mexican Grill RV LLC, doing business as Tajin Mexican Grill. Patrick, again, same thing, different
Same
name.
thing.
It's the same thing, except this is actually one of our regular Class B licenses, so we would actually get a license back by non-renewing.
Oh, heck.
So,
Motion to recommend non-renewal of Class B beer, Class B liquor license for Tajin Mexican Grill.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that ends this items for next agenda. If you got anything you want to bring up, get staff involved. If not, I'll obtain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much for attending the meeting.